Good evening, YouTube. Yes, I've been looking a little closer at this circuit board that was used in that 12-volt trouble light that I used in the back of the truck. I'm suspecting this circuit board was probably repurposed, like it was designed for something more complicated. I don't know if you can see these traces here, but there's these 4 solder pads here. The plus comes down here, goes to this pad, runs over here, and then there's a trace between these 2 pads, and they've soldered a jumper wire over here, so the plus comes down here, goes across there, across this jumper, and then back here, and then it basically runs down the edge of the circuit board here. It runs right down to these solder pads here. So there's actually 2 sets of 11 solder pads. There's one on this end of the board, and then if we swing down here, there's the exact same thing on this end of the board. And they're actually wired up identical, so I'll just show you this one. So like I said, the positive comes in here, and then each of the remaining 10 solder pads, this one feeds the first LED and then the second LED, and you can see those traces going across here. So like here's one, some go through holes. So this is a double-sided board, which is really weird. You know, it's a weird shape. It's double-sided. It's got all of these unused pads, and if you look here on the back, there's just a jumper wire soldered across all 11 pins there. So that just connects the 12 volts that's on one end to all 10 of the other pins, and then sends that power down to the strings of LEDs. These 2 terminals here, that's where the switch was soldered in, and that's just for the negative. And then the negative just runs down the length of the circuit board over on this side. The positive runs down over here, and all they really had to do was they got positive, hook it to this pin on the LED, goes out the other pin, jumps to the next one, jumps to the next one, and you can see all the grounds are connected. Every ground is connected to that trace, but all the positives go through this series of solder pads here, through all of these individual traces. So it's like, why were they doing that? I think what it was this was probably set up either for a single inline or a dual inline package resistor. Like a single inline would just have a common pin that goes into the 12 volts, and then it would have 10 resistors that feed each of these pins, and then that would feed each of the 10 strings of LEDs. And like I say, you've got the same thing over here. These just seem to run straight through there, if you can see the connections. But they do the same thing here. They run down here. You can see the traces there. It's really bizarre. I think this was set up at least for single inline resistor packs. So they probably left that out and then just soldered a jumper wire across there to get the power. But still, why did they have to have a double-sided board? That is just so bizarre for such a simple thing. Yeah, you could tell they just were trying to skimp on cost. So they probably had the circuit board, a couple of jumpers, solder 2 wires on, and you know, they got rid of the connector. There was no connector here. It was just hardwired. A switch in the inside, and then the LEDs. So anyway, yeah, I just thought I'd show you that little closer look. Yeah, so if anybody has any ideas what you think this might have been for. Yeah, there must have been something in here that was in the original design, and they just got rid of it. And like these things here, this one is set up for a single inline package, but then there's these extra traces. I don't know if this was like a dual inline package. So anyway, yeah, if anybody has any ideas what they think this might have been for, post up in the comments section below. But yeah, this thing, I guess they just cost reduced it so far that it just wasn't reliable at all. And then I guess I was abusing it by running this on 12, 13, 14 volts in the back of the truck. And there's nothing preventing these LEDs from getting overdriven, and they got overdriven and burned out. Thought you might enjoy that. And as always, thanks for watching.